and welcome to Walking with Jesus, where we take a look, a little peek into the life and times of Jesus Christ as he existed here on the planet. And welcome in. Excuse me, I'm Teri Angel, and I'm here with my co host, Lily Ortega. Good morning, Lily.
Buenos días, Terry. Am, Bienvenidos a todos a este podcast llamado Caminando con Jesús. That we started it May 1st, I believe. We started this podcast. So it's May, June, July. So it's more than 3 months that we have been doing this podcast, Terry.
I know it went so fast, didn't it? It doesn't
Mhm.
seem like it's been 3 months, but we've explored quite a few things on this show. And I was just saying to Lily before we came on the air, it's so awesome to just sit and have a conversation with somebody about spiritual matters, especially when we're looking at Jesus' life, and have you all, the audience, participate by letting us know your thoughts, your questions, what you would like to explore. And that's really what we wanted to do today. We don't have an agenda, we don't have anything planned that we're going to do. Last week was miraculous. And those of you that tuned in and experienced that, I've heard from several of you how much you really enjoyed hearing and being blessed by Elohi. And she will be back. We'll have her back again on the show. We have some few ideas that have been inspired thoughts, and so we will be exploring still some of the things that we wanted to do with this podcast. We don't have a time frame. We don't know how long we're going to be doing the show, but that's not up to us, is it? The future is really not a guarantee. All we have, like the angel said to me last night, all you have is this holy instant, this moment in time. And so enjoy that moment and make the most of it. And Lily, I really loved when they brought that forward last night to me, to stay in the present moment. And tomorrow, if it comes, will take care of itself. It'll be something new and something different. But I love that we can focus on the now and where we are and what our thoughts are and what our questions are. So, Lily, I'm going to share this out while you please welcome in those who are Spanish speaking and would enjoy having it said in Spanish. And we have people starting to find us already. So, welcome in to our audience.
Yes, Terry. As I am sharing too, and talking about the present moment, I realize that when there are things happening in our lives, like losing somebody or something that shakes you, um, at least for me, is when I am reminded to live the present moment. For example, with my dog Bruno, who was ill and he's recovering now pretty well. Um, when I came home and he was not here, and then I remember when I went to Mexico and I said goodbye to him, and anyway I come back and he's not at home, and I'm thinking, yeah, I took for granted that when I came home he was going to be here. And um and I think those moments are the ones that I am reminded, or we could be reminded, to enjoy the present moment, because I tend to go to the past. I am a person that likes to go to past experiences and remembering with nostalgia. Sometimes that's good, but sometimes it's not too good either. I guess it's good to have a balance with that, because I tend to want to go to the house where I grew up and look at the area and remember. Anyway, I just want to say that for me, thinking that I could have lose lost Bruno, or maybe lose him sooner than I thought, brings me to the present moment and to enjoy the now. I'm going to say that in Spanish. Bueno, estamos platicando Terry y yo acerca del momento presente y de disfrutar este momento. Le estaba diciendo yo a Terry que algo que a mí me ha hecho recordarme de estar en este momento y disfrutar este momento que estoy ahorita aquí con Terry en el podcast, porque hace poco eh, casi pierdo a mi perrito Bruno y yo como que di por sentado que cuando yo me fui hace 2 meses a México y me despedí del perro, porque me iba a ir por 1 o 2 meses, que cuando yo regresara, el perro iba a estar aquí. Y cuando yo regresé, el perro no estaba aquí porque estaba en el hospital. Entonces, cosas así, ese tipo de cosas, como la pérdida de alguien, son las que a veces nos sacuden y nos recuerdan de disfrutar este momento y de disfrutar cada momento que vivimos, en donde estemos y con quien estemos. So enjoy every moment, wherever you are, with whoever you are.
Exactly. And when I think about Jesus' humanity, of him walking on the earth, and my curiosity a lot of times has been trust, trusting that no matter what happened, I mean, we all know the outcome of his life and how that ended, but how did he walk every day with the people that surrounded him, and some of the people that really didn't like him, and some of them actually hated him being there and wanted him dead. How did he trust that everything was working according to the divine plan? I think it had to be difficult, knowing that he took on such a big task in the life that he came to live, and his mission and his love for us so much that he followed through with what his mission was. And I think of my own mission, going constantly into places that I don't know, I'm not aware of. I don't know anybody in most of the places I go to, but I have to trust that I'm where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's all working together for God's divine plan. So I try sometimes to put myself in that energy of what it would have been like for him to maintain a positive attitude, right? To just continue to love unconditionally, knowing all the things that he knew about the area and where he was, and the situation where from the very beginning of his life he was threatened to be taken out of this world from the get-go. So it had to be such a strong fortitude that he had to put that aside and focus, like we were talking about, on the holy moment, every present now moment. And I'm really getting that that's what he had to do. He had to not have any distractions from his mission, but just say in each moment, I trust and I'm taken care of. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Lily.
Well, yes, I mean, I do wonder as well how would he how would he have that fully trust that whatever unfolded was meant to happen, and to do it every day throughout his life, and for his mission. And I wonder, because this came up in another podcast, and I think Ruth was here, and I remember something about that, saying that, I don't know how to say it, how to explain it, but that for him, of course, it seemed that it was easier to have that trust. Again, I don't know if he was somehow born with it, like he had many gifts that we humans now are still developing. He already had them, or he developed them at a very young age. So that's what I remember, something that we discussed in another program. And I remember it was said that there were certain things that he already knew,
Hmm.
that he was attuned with that. But for us, it seems that sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't have it. We all have them in different levels. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was like he didn't have the, for lack of a better word, amnesia that we come in with. You know, we come in knowing where we came from, that we are spirit, but it's like throughout this human experience, we're learning constantly about what that means. We're learning about how to have a deeper connection. He just seemed to have it from the very beginning. And I know when Ruth and I were in Egypt together, we learned that even as an infant, he was creating miracles there where he was. And so I don't think he ever was at that point of not knowing who he was as the Son of God. I think he always had that knowing. And I'm sure that helped get him through all of those times when people were hating on him and trying to ridicule him and make fun of him. I think of some of those instances that are recorded from his time on earth. And I think how we, as normal humans, handle bullying, because that's what happened. He was being bullied by a lot of people who didn't understand him, didn't understand his mission, and were making fun of him. So he handled it, I think, with ease and grace, you know, more so than any of us probably could ever do. So I really think that all the way from the very beginning, he just had that knowledge of who he was. But yet, as we've discussed over the past months, he was a fully human being experiencing emotions. And Lily, I don't know if you have ever been bullied, but I certainly have in my lifetime. And it doesn't feel so good. It works on your mind and your emotions, where you just want to cower, you know, and get away from that energy of somebody just totally making fun of you, or you know, trying to make themselves look better because they're putting you down. And I'm amazed at how he handled some of those instances that he went through.
Hmm. Yes, because when we are bullied, I mean, it does make you, like, lose the trust that you have in yourself,
Hmm.
because it's like putting your self-esteem down, to not
Yeah.
believe who you are. um Now, what I thought as you were talking, in the meditations that I do twice a month, we are brought to the different dimensions, I believe up to the 11th dimension. I can't recall if it's the 11th. Um, and in that process, we are reminded to each in each dimension start connecting more with our what we call higher self, which is our true essence, our true self. And so when you were talking about this, I just remember that when we connect with our higher self, which is what Jesus, maybe something similar that Jesus already had, that he was already connected to God, like he had an instant connection, and he was more, yeah, more attuned with that. So he was maybe not triggered as much. But when we do that, develop that more connection with who we truly are, um, then I guess, or what I heard is that we can see our life as if we are a witness of this, like watching a movie. So if something happens that could trigger you, it doesn't trigger you as much because you watch things almost from the, how do you say, from the
Hmm.
background.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess for us, we can get there, but it takes practice, because like you said, we forgot. We
Mhm.
got amnesia, and we forgot how to connect with our higher self.
Yeah. We are triggered by many things. I'm just trying to tune in and think also of writings about that time when we knew about him and his ministry. I think there were very few things that actually brought up those human emotions like anger, because that was what I felt when I was bullied, when someone was making fun of me or putting me down. I felt anger, and anger is not a bad thing. It's part of being a human. It's part of our emotion, and we shouldn't bury any of our emotions. If we feel it, we should get in touch with it and see what it is. But I know there were a couple of instances that were recorded about how some things really didn't set well with him, and his anger did come out, but it was more of a righteous anger. It was about how they were disrespecting, like in the temple, and they were disrespecting that, and just not honoring God and what they were doing. So I know there were times when he did lose his temper, and I'm glad. I'm
Mhm.
actually glad that he did, because I think it shows us more of how he understood what we go through as humans. If he'd lived his life and there was never any anger or sadness or anything like that, then it wouldn't seem so real, would it?
Mhm. But I wonder if he probably, after feeling the emotions that he felt, if he just kind of, they just pass, like he felt them.
Hmm.
Maybe he processed them at that moment, and then he just put them aside and he moved forward.
That's a
Uh,
good point. And I appreciate that, because that's where we get stuck sometimes, isn't it? If something happens and we're triggered, or all of a sudden we just have that blast of energy come at us, many times we just stay there. We stay in that energy and hold on to it and have a hard time letting it go. So I just want to ask our audience members, have you experienced anything like that, where there was either an incident or something that in the world that upset you or created an energy of anger or sadness or whatever it was. And it was difficult for you to work through it to the point of, oh, I don't need to be keeping bringing this up, and what is it? The angels have said that we shouldn't be regurgitating all of that stuff from the past and just keep living in it and stirring in it, because then we're not in balance. We're not really in touch with living a full life, because we're stuck on one thing and have that tunnel vision about one thing. So I think you're exactly right, Lily. I think he felt the anger, he expressed the anger, and just like sadness, he expressed some sadness just before his crucifixion, but he didn't stay there. He didn't keep on bringing it up over and over again and pounding at it. He said his piece, he stated what he felt and how he felt about it, and then he moved on. So it's the moving on part, I think, that we're still working on as humans and evolving to the point of, can I get beyond this? How can I get beyond this? And to me, it's trusting that everything has a purpose. And as we move through life, all of our experiences bring us more lessons and more understanding and more clarity.
Yes.
Mm, yeah, we have a comment from Kim in the audience, and she said that's what the angels say to hers: feel and release. Feel it. Don't deny it. Don't push down any of your emotions. I'd like to share that when I was a child, we weren't allowed to express anger or any of the, like, even sadness or loneliness or whatever would have come up. It wasn't okay in our family to say, I'm really mad about this, or to, release that type of emotion. So it took me a long time to get to the point where I was okay saying, I'm really mad at you right now, and letting somebody know that, whatever had happened was upsetting to me. I would just like push it under the rug, hold it back. And that's not a good thing. That's not healthy, to be able to live like that and not be able to express yourself authentically. And thank you, Kim, for your comment. And she said, it's okay to feel. Yeah, we're humans, and that's part of being human, is to feel emotions, to experience something to where we do understand it.
Mhm. Yes. And we are, like you said, like when we are born, we are we are born with that, like what a baby does. A baby will show, they don't talk, but with their cry or with whatever their facial expressions, they express what they want.
Mhm.
Um, but how, as we grow, we are somehow taught. It could be by your parents, it could be by another person in your life. We are taught to how do you say? I was gonna say repress, but I don't know the right word. To suppress, to
Right.
suppress those emotions,
Mhm.
and it takes a lifetime to recover that. Like, it's interesting to see how suppressing seems to work fast, but then gaining again, to learn, to relearn how to fully express our emotions, it takes years, and it can take our whole life We have to work through it.
Oh, that's so true. And I don't think there's people that I don't think they ever work through it and understand it. Um, yeah, because there's that attitude of, keep your emotions under control, right? Keep your emotions in check. And so we're shown that. Maybe it's not said in that way, but that's sometimes, the attitude from others is to not be so emotional. Don't wear your emotions on your sleeve. I mean, there's so many cliches that really show that attitude of it's not okay to show your emotions. And I'm here to say it is okay to show emotions. It's the healthiest thing you can do is to be authentic. Because if you're angry and you got that smile on your face and everything's okay, right? Everything's just fine, then there's a churning inside of your stomach that says, no, it's not. And wanting to express that inner voice wants to be heard. But because we've been suppressed, that's the word, Lily, um, we just feel like we're going to do something wrong if we say, I'm mad or I'm sad. A lot of people have a problem saying, I feel sad. And I don't know. I think it's just such a part of our experience because if something has happened, maybe there was a loss, maybe it's worry, like you were expressing about Bruno and your concern for him, and it was sad to come home and not have that familiar face there and his energy. It's okay to say that made me sad, or I'm really upset about this. But expressing emotion is not something we do easily as humans. I think Jesus was a great example for us to to show that whatever you're feeling inside, let it be known. Bring it out. Bring it forward.
And something, as you were talking about anger and sadness, for example, I guess it depends on each person. For example, for me, it's not easy to get my anger out. Um, I don't know why, but I do notice that that's something that, yeah, that it doesn't happen to me. And it doesn't mean that I don't get upset about something, but it's not easy for me to really get the anger, which is sometimes, I mean, I think it's good it's like any other emotion. It's good to let it out, not to affect somebody. I am not saying in that way, but just to have an outlet to let it out. Um, but for example, sadness, I can get sad and I can cry. I mean, I it's that's easier for me to show that emotion. But I was wondering why. I don't know if it happens overall for people, but I I think I see more often people that show their anger than sadness, because very often sadness, we are told that is a sign of being weak, and I guess anger is a might be more a sign of being powerful, or I don't know, strong,
Yeah,
right? So sadness is not something that a lot of people show or can get show their vulnerability.
right.
um and I
Yeah,
don't know what is that about. I do know that my father is a person that shows, he can cry as a man. Is He can cry more easily than other men that I have seen in my life, and maybe that's why I somehow was taught that it's okay to cry. I don't know.
yeah. I think that's a good point. And tears are release. You're releasing energy when you cry. So that energy that's inside of you that says, I don't feel so good right now, I'm sad, something upset me, or something disappointed me, or I just am having a reaction to a loss, or having grief, or whatever it might be. And a lot of people do have a hard time expressing the sadness. I think it's our thought that people are going to feel sorry for us or pity us, or what's wrong with you, right? That was something I heard in my first relationship, um, romantic relationship. If I had a down moment and I was maybe feeling a little lonely because I was away from family or for whatever reason, what's wrong with you? And so that went in here like, oh, being sad equals something's wrong with me, right? But Jesus showed us by his example when he went into the garden alone and was surrounded by angels and was able to express that he was hurting, he was sad, and it's just a beautiful showing for us that it's okay to express that. There's nothing wrong with you. It's okay to say, today I'm a little melancholy. Today I'm just not feeling it, right? I'm just not feeling that joy inside that I want to feel. And being able to express it is a release, whether you express it through tears or just making that statement. Please don't hold back on your emotions. I think that's a really big point that is needing to be made today, because we're shown by the highest there is, we're shown by Jesus that it's okay to be there in whatever state of mind you're in. And I love Kim's comment, men crying is more of a balanced man. Yeah, because there was always that stereotype, men don't cry, right? And I
Mhm.
think, Lily, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you agree with this, I think in a lot of cultures that is taught. Men don't cry. You're macho. You show your strength. You show your masculinity. So have you experienced that where the men just don't feel like they can express, especially if it's
Yes.
something like sadness?
Yes, in Mexico, in the culture that I grew up, yeah, there is the machismo where yeah, I mean children, boys, since they are very young, they are told to not yeah, to not show that, don't cry because men don't cry. Um,
Right.
so that's something common. But you know, another emotion, Terry, happiness. Very often, um, it almost seems that, for example, if I have happiness for a long time or a long period of time, like I almost question myself, is this gonna last? You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like almost like if there is no trust that I can be happy for a long time. You know, it's like I am maybe deep in my mind, I'm thinking something is going to happen that is going to ruin my happiness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
interesting how emotions, what happens with the emotions, right?
Mm-hmm. We self-sabotage, and that's what you're talking about, Lily. It's like, stay present in the moment. If you're feeling happy, you're feeling joy, stay in that energy. And what happens is we project into the future, and that's what you were saying. Will it last? In the next moment, will something happen, and I'll go back into a fear or an anger or sadness. We self-sabotage ourselves, and the best thing we can do is stay present, So if something's bringing you joy, or you're finding that place inside where maybe you've connected deeper in your spirit being, and that joy bubbles up, stay there, stay in it, stay with it. I know for me, it took most of my life, really, to get to that place of contentment and peace inside, and waking up in the morning and saying it's a great day to have a great day. I mean, that wasn't me in the prior life, I call it, the life before I really understood more about spirituality and what a difference it makes when you connect in to who you truly are. You wake up with that smile on your face. Not every day, because maybe some days you wake up with pain or with a headache or just tired. But the attitude is what's important, to wake up knowing that you've been given a gift of another day. And that in itself is reason to celebrate and to smile and say thank you and go into gratitude. So a lot of times it's a conscious choice of, okay, I've got a day. What am I going to do with it? And go into it with that attitude instead of, oh no, another day. You know, what's going to happen today? So stop projecting. That's what I keep hearing. Stop thinking about tomorrow. It's not promised. We don't know if it'll come. If it does, great. But we're only guaranteed this very moment that we have.
Mhm. Now, what is another emotion that comes to your mind? Because I usually just think about anger, happiness, and sadness. What
Mhm.
is another emotion?
Fear. I
Uh-huh.
think fear is probably the most common emotion. And it comes from not knowing. It comes from the unknown. If we think about it, when we go into a fear, it's saying, I don't have any control, right? This is a big thing for us humans. Let's just face it. We want to have control over our lives. We want to have control over what we experience and what's coming our way. So when there's an unknown, it's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. So it may not be full blown fear, but there's that anxiety about not knowing what might come next in our lives. Does that make sense, Lily?
Mm, yes, and that's something that comes to our lives almost every day. I mean, if you think about it, we can have all the emotions every day. We can feel happy, we can feel sad, we can feel angry, and we can be fearful. Um, yeah, I guess we came here to experience all these emotions. But like I was saying before, like I guess for me, there are certain things that used to trigger me more. This is when I talk about watching what happens more as how do you say, a spectator? Is that the right word? In Spanish is espectador.
Spectator. Yeah.
Espectador. So when I noticed that in the past, there were certain things that would affect me more, and I would take them personally, and then I will get upset. And maybe if I am talking to somebody, I will get engaged in the conversation trying to prove my point. But now I notice I change. Either sometimes I just listen because maybe the person just wants to talk, or if I respond, I guess I don't react. I try to respond accordingly. So I like that in the sense that I don't get engaged in the drama like I used to.
Hmm.
If you can call that drama.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. We came here for this whole experience. And emotions is such a big part of the experience. And I think we spend our life just learning how to process those emotions, how to be emotionally intellectual, um, to recognize when we are being triggered or what we're feeling is okay. Like we were talking about earlier, it's okay to be angry. It's okay for all of those human emotions to happen, but how do we find a balance, right? How do we balance that and work through it to where we feel better, or we feel that we can have more confidence in who we are, even if we're having an off day, even if we're a little angry or sad about something. So, yeah, but the thought came to me also that animals also experience emotions just like we do. And I think it's so interesting. I work a lot with animals, and I've had many animals in my lifetime. And I have watched them go through the whole spectrum, the fear, the anger, the loneliness, the sadness. And it's just interesting to watch that happen and to see how they respond to different things. One of those things is grief. I have had animals go through a grief process when maybe another animal in the family has passed on. Um, there's that moment of where did they go? Why aren't they here? And missing all that interaction with them. So if you have animals, pay attention because they'll show you how they feel. They don't hold back. Like sometimes we were talking about how sometimes we feel like we have to hide the fact that we're sad or mad or whatever. They don't hold it back. And I think that's a beautiful example for us humans to look at. It's like if you're, what's the song? If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. You know, animals are like that. If they're happy, you know they're happy. You feel it, you see it. And the same thing with all the other spectrum of emotions. They are going to just show it, and they don't hide it from us.
Mhm. And it's interesting to see that, each animal is also different. They have their own personality. So, yeah, I was thinking about animals too earlier when you were talking about something. I just remember animals because of Bruno. Like, I have two dogs, Bruno and Mia. Bruno expresses his emotions like with intensity. Like, he will yell really like high pitch something, or I don't know, he's just very you can see his emotions more than with the other dog. So if he wants to, if he's happy, he comes and licks your face, and he goes in front of you and he will lick your face. And Mia is, she will do that, but not as often. But for example, grief, when he was going to the vet, it totally triggered me. And now when my husband has to go to the vet to do a test for Bruno, Mia is like, what's happening? It's almost like she knows there is something going on. And there was one day last week, I think they were gone for several hours, and she didn't want to eat, and she was just looking at the door. So I could start to see her grief of her brother. And then when they came home, she was jumping. She was so happy. And she usually, like I said, doesn't show a lot of her emotions as Bruno, but you could tell she was really, really excited.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's interesting to also see how each animal, they show their emotions, but they do show their emotions really different. And there was a day, Terry, that Bruno, we bought a tractor. So it's called like a tractor to water the grass. And so my husband left it in the grass at night, overnight. And Bruno goes out in the middle of the night. And this is like a month ago. And so he goes out to explore or whatever. So he goes out and it was dark, and suddenly we hear a big yelp, like screaming, and he just came. We have never seen him running so fast to the dog door. He came flying to the dog door, and we are thinking, what happened? Sometimes there are raccoons or something. So my husband goes out with a flashlight, and then we thought, maybe it was the tractor, because it has like antennas. I mean, it's where they move to water and they look like antennas.
Mhm.
So that's what happened, that he got triggered by the tractor, and he really, really, like, he got really scared. We have never heard him like yelp like that, not even with a raccoon.
There was a monster in your yard. Oh, that's funny. I mean, not funny for the dog because he got scared, but yeah, that's a very funny story. You know, animals are so curious. It's not just cats. Dogs are very curious also. And I love when a dog will like turn its head sideways, like, what'd you say? You know, to me, that is one of the most precious parts of their personality is when they're trying to figure out what you're telling them or saying to them. And you know, we can't get inside of a dog's head and know exactly what they're thinking or how they're processing things. But I've heard from several people that work with dogs and other animals that they don't really see our physical, well, they see it, but they see more of our essence. They see what we're pouring forth as we're communicating with them. You know, if we're expressing joy at being with them, they know that and they can feel that. Even if we don't say, I'm happy to see you, they feel it. They also feel our emotions, our sadness. They feel our fear. And dogs are amazing because they can really tune in if something is wrong with you, if there's something physical going on. There's been so many examples of dogs that have saved humans' lives because they can feel if there's a change inside, like if there's a heart attack that's starting to happen, they feel that. And I think they're just amazing creatures of God. I think they were put on this earth for us to enjoy, for one thing, but also to be a companion that can really feel us and see us deeper than like if I was with another human and I was having a heart attack, that human probably wouldn't be able to sense it like the dogs have that sense of what's going on.
Hmm. Yes, and anyway, talking about emotions, because I got really interested in the topic. What is another emotion that we can remember?
Okay, so we talked about happiness, anger, sadness, fear. Mm, disappointment, I think, is an emotion all by itself, and it comes from expectations. You know, what do I expect out of another person that I'm walking on the earth with? Do I expect them to treat me with honor and respect and to honor the earth? Or do I have a higher expectation that they're going to um, maybe take care of me or walk beside of me and have the same feelings that I do, the same opinions? So when we have those expectations and they're not met, then we tend to get disappointed. But that disappointment is our own making, isn't it? Because we're the ones holding the expectation.
Hmm. And that happens very often. And that's something that I have been aware. Um, and there are times that I tell myself, don't expect this, just just like again, just trust and just move
Mhm.
forward and without expecting things to happen in certain way, because
Yeah.
many times things will not happen in the way we expect them. and and I guess it flows more easily if we don't have the expectation, or we, for example, if no, one thing is our own expectation of certain things happening in our life, that we have a goal and it has not been met, or but also is the expectation of somebody responding or doing something in our lives. So I realize that when I don't expect something from somebody, then I don't get offended and I don't get upset about that person. So I, that's something that I have been very aware in the last, maybe the last year in my life.
Mhm.
And it seems easier to not have the expectation, but how can we do that, right? Because that's not easy.
It's not easy. And even let's take it back to Jesus' time on earth when there was one instance where he was out in a boat with the disciples and the storm was coming up and they were expecting him to just make it all better, you know? And there was a point where I think he was going through, I think it was it was toward the end when they were going to crucify him and all the disciples were falling asleep and he was disappointed because he wanted them to be there to support him. So even Jesus had expectations, and the disciples who were just looking up to him and adoring him, and they had expectations that sometimes he didn't meet because it wasn't his agenda, it was their agenda, what they wanted. And that's what it comes down to is what I want. I want you to act a certain way, right? I want you to do what I think you should be doing, and you're not. And so then the disappointment comes in. And that we see that with animals as well. You know, if they don't get their way, if they don't get that bone or that treat, or you're leaving and going out the door, that you can see the disappointment. So I think that's one of the huge emotions that we face as humans. And it comes down to I want you to behave in a certain way or to do something that I think that you should be doing for me.
Yes, yes. And children, children and animals are, because their expectations are different than us adults.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, children is when they throw a tantrum, when
Yeah,
they don't get what they expect.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I want what I want and I want it now. Yeah. And so we learn patience. And if we can really monitor those emotions, patience just happens easier because we don't go into the sadness and the anger and the disappointment when something's not going our way. We can say, okay, in this moment, it's not happening, but I'm going to be okay in this moment. So, again, bringing it back to staying present, that's been a huge teaching that they wanted us, the angels and Jesus wanted us to know today, that it's okay to have emotions and stay present with it. Don't go down that rabbit hole of what ifs. Just stay very present in the moment. What a great discussion today, Lily. When we came on, we had no idea where this was going to go. We didn't know what any topic was that was going to come up, but I'm so glad that it went this direction because I think this needs to be expressed. We need to hear that it's okay to have whatever that emotion is that you're feeling, express it, be authentic.
Yes, it is important to, yeah, like you said, if we want to really be who we are and be authentic, then we should express all the emotions that we have. Because also I know, or I heard that when we don't express the emotions, that energy gets
Hmm.
stagnant in our body, in our physical body, correct? And
Hmm.
then is when, an illness may come because of getting that whatever energy is stuck in the body.
Yeah, that's really a truth, that our emotions, when we don't honor them and we just keep pushing them down, it's like packing something into a container. You keep pushing it down, pushing it down, pushing it down, and it has no place to go. It's just sits there, and you what's the word, steep in it. You just keep being in that energy field instead of releasing. The releasing can come through tears. It can come through just having that breakthrough moment of saying, okay, I'm over it now, right? I'm going to deal with it. I'm not going to hold it back any longer. And I can only speak for myself, but things that happened in my past um, were where I would do that. I would pack those emotions down. I wouldn't let them come up, because remember, I was told as a young child, don't get angry, don't feel something, and don't express it, that you're angry or you're sad. So I carried that into my young adulthood, and I would pack those emotions down until all of a sudden they were exploding, instead of dealing with them at the moment that they were happening. It's like, oh, this is like a stick of dynamite. You keep pushing it down, and then the fuse is going to get lit, and there's all of this vomiting of emotions that comes out. And it might have been something that happened years ago, but yet you held on to it until it was very toxic, and it came out in not a good way to express it. So the really lesson is to feel the emotion when you feel it, honor it, know that that's a part of your human experience, and it's okay. It's okay to be mad, sad, disappointed, whatever that is that you're feeling. Honor that, respect it as part of your journey, but don't hold it back, and don't keep tamping it down until there's no other place for it to go except to all of it to come out. So
Mhm.
I have loved this conversation today, Lily. And again, the time just flew by. It went so fast. I want to express gratitude for our audience, and thank you all for coming in and having this conversation with us, and sharing with us what your thoughts are and your feelings. And every week we try to give you something to take with you until we meet again, until we come back together, which will be next Saturday. So I think what came out today is so important for us. And what I'm going to encourage everyone to do is, if an emotion comes up for you, just ask, what am I supposed to do with this? How do I release it? What am I to learn from it? What is it teaching me? So look at the emotion. Don't just sweep it aside or hold it back, but really honor it by feeling it, and then asking, what am I learning from this? What's my lesson in this? So that's um, my takeaway, and inviting anyone who wants to join in with how to deal more with our emotions. And again, I go back to, what would Jesus do, right? How would he handle if a situation came up where he all of a sudden was angry, and he expressed If he was sad, he expressed it. So use your authentic voice. That's what I'm going to encourage everyone to do between now and when we meet again. Lily, any thoughts or anything that you would like to add?
Yes, I have two things to say. Well, one is that when you were talking about all these emotions, I just remember that the session that we had with Elohim was talking about our fragmented parts. I heard that this year, like really strongly, about our parts that are kind of separated and fragmented. And I heard that is, I guess he's talking about all these, it could be emotions, but all those parts that are, they don't feel whole in us. I heard that it's important to acknowledge them and yeah, recognize them, see them, that they are visible to you because I didn't see it in this way, but somebody explained it to me like this. It's like when a child, for example, if there is a child that is being punished and is being sent to another room or something and they feel rejected. So it's almost like that kind of feeling that when you do not acknowledge or recognize all those fragmented parts, they feel that they are invisible. So the more you bring them to your awareness and you acknowledge them and you see them, the more they are gonna come together as a whole with you. That's something that I heard this last year that I haven't heard before.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing that I was going to say is about the Mother Mary Oracle card. Yes.
Yes, please.
But let me find it, Terry. Just give me a few minutes. I don't know
Sure.
if there is something that you want to say in the
I just want
meantime.
to acknowledge our audience, and you all are so beautiful. Thank you for spending some time with us on your weekend morning to, to just to explore and get curious about what it's like to look at the life and times of Jesus as he walked on the earth. And today, I think it was so divine that we talked about emotions because Jesus did live a fully human life, including being emotional and expressing those in a really healthy way as an example for us. So if something does come up, like I said earlier, just ask, how would Jesus handle this? What would Jesus do in this instance? And let him be the example that we look to as a guide to know how to handle those sometimes difficult things that come up in life. So Lily had shared with me before we came on that um, there was a reading, a card reading that came up from Mother Mary and another from Mary Magdalene. And I just wanted her to share that and let us all get into that energy because we've been talking about Mary Magdalene. We've been talking about the feminine energy that surrounded Jesus while he was on earth. And I think it's just such a beautiful exploration. And we'll continue to look at that and look at that theme of who was there supporting him while he walked on this earth.
Yes, okay. I know it's taking a little bit of time to find this.
It's okay. Take your time. As you all can see, we're not real sticklers for sticking to the exact moments. I think we went like an hour and a half last week when Elohi was here. I didn't want that show to end. It was so beautiful, and the experience was so beautiful. If you missed it, you can go back to the replay of it where she did an activation and brought in whale energy and beautiful, amazing energy that we all went very deep with when she was on. And again, we will have her back in the future. She'll come back and join us.
Yes. So I have the card. The card is called Mother Mary's Love. The message for today is about being held, supported, and loved, even when we cannot see the whole path ahead. Mother Mary brings a very gentle energy here. You don't have to carry everything yourself. Something may be asking you to soften rather than push, and to trust that healing can happen through receiving as much as through doing. So for today, let yourself receive love and support. Release the need to have every answer immediately. If something feels heavy, place it in Mother Mary's hands and say, Mother Mary, hold this for me. Help me see what I need to see and guide me toward peace.
Mm. Can you repeat that line?
Yes. Mother Mary, hold this for me. Help me see what I need to see and guide me toward peace.
Mm. I love that.
A reminder that we are not alone in what we are moving through.
Yeah. Sometimes we need to be reminded, don't we?
Yes.
We need to bring it to remembrance that when we came here and incarnated in the human body, we're not alone. We may at times physically be alone, but we have all the support we need. And Mother Mary is so nurturing and so kind. And I just love that sentence that you read, that, that prayer to ask her to hold whatever it is that we're going through and help us find our way to peace. So beautiful.
Terry, could we add it to the chat? I don't know how to access the chat.
Um, okay.
Let me just say it again so
Okay.
you can type it. Are you ready?
Okay. I typed Mother Mary.
Mm-hmm. Hold this for me. Help me see what I need to see and guide me toward peace.
Mm, I think that is such a beautiful statement for us to focus on this week when something comes up and you just need that nurturing. You need to know that you're not alone, that at any given moment, Mother Mary will hold whatever it is. She will take it, she will hold us in a warm embrace as we go through whatever our challenge is and bring us to that place of peace. I love that, Lily. Thank you
Mhm.
so much.
No, you're welcome. And just before we leave, would you like to tell the audience that perhaps there will be a quiet meditation.
Yes. So let's plan on next week, next Saturday, with our time together, focusing on being in Jesus' presence and acknowledging his life that he led. We'll do a meditation to really take us there, to get us deeper into the energy of being embraced in his light and his love as he walked the earth. So I will guide us in a meditation next week. And hopefully you all will come back and join in and just be blessed by what can come forth with taking that deeper look and deeper walk with him. Lily, thank you. And that was the inspired thought that Lily had that came directly from Spirit. So we honor that. Whenever we have a nudge, we listen. And then if we're supposed to take an action, we do. So that's what's going to happen next week. We'll have a meditation time together. And I invite all of you to come back for that. Thank you for being here with us today. I have just loved everything about this program that we did, talking about the emotions and how Jesus handled emotions as well when he walked on earth and how we can learn from him. So, again, thank you. I appreciate everyone being here. Lily, thank you. As always, it's such a pleasure to be here with you and your beautiful energy. And you bring so much to this program. And I want to acknowledge that and thank you for that.
No, thank you for inviting me to be here.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. We will wish you a good day. Go enjoy this weekend. Stay in the moment. If you're experiencing something, maybe you're watching the stars or a sunset or your children or grandchildren play or your animals, whatever it is, just be so present with them that your heart becomes full of joy and stay there, stay in that energy. But also express your emotions, whatever they are. Speak authentically from your heart and don't hold back. We love you so much. We appreciate you joining in on Walking with Jesus, and we will return next week. And between now and then, just ask how you're expressing yourself through your emotions authentically and not holding them back, and become more consciously aware of that. We love you, and we'll see you later. Bye, Lily. I love you so much.
I love you too, Terry. Nos vemos. Hasta la próxima. Bye.